I went in and saw him, and he was like, you think you could do one more day? And I'm like, I could do one more day. So I do another day, and I come back, and he asks again, can you do another day? And I said, yeah. So after the 6th day, low like this, and I mean, I was sliced out of my head. He goes, all right, tomorrow we're going to start carving up. And I said, well, Jay, I got to ask, what were you looking for when you kept doing one more day?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I knew we were doing 6 the whole time. I just didn't want to ask you up front. I was like, yeah. Oh, he goes, it might have been a lot for your brain after 2 to know you had 4 more left.
Yeah.
So I just asked you for one more each time. And I'm like, that actually makes perfect sense.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding. Of course, we're back with Scott, the producer, McNally, with an amazing Masters of the Universe t-shirt on.
You like that?
And nice. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
And, of course, Dusty Hanshaw. I can't quite see what you're wearing. Dusty's wearing
this is a Wicked Weed. Wicked Weed.
Oh, Wicked Weed. Okay, so he's got someone giving him free shit. Okay, good stuff. Okay, matches a Mutant hat. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell. I got violent with that one. Damn.
There we go.
Should heart.
Violence has entered the chat. Okay.
Yes.
So, also remember, IamMutant.com. You guys are incredible. You've been using the codes a lot more, and we're hearing about it. And then that makes Mutant want to support the show even more and cements in the support of the show, seeing the codes used. So thank you very much. It's helping Dusty and I out greatly. Yes. And Think Big Bodybuilding Media Patreon. Keep a producer homed.
Yes, yes. And we have a bunch of questions. Yeah. And we have a bunch of questions from Patreon too. So you guys are going to get your money's worth of Patreon today.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes. So thanks to everyone. You guys, your comments are awesome. Your clicks. I went through one of the YouTubes the other day, and I tried to answer comment and chat and try to help out the algorithm myself. So it's not all on them. And we really appreciate it. The feedback's been great, and you guys have been sending us lots of great questions. What's the lead topic today, buddy?
Well, we had one question. It's somewhere in this. First of all, they sent us so many questions between Patreon, the Sunday episode, and the regular episode. They sent us so many questions, Ron, that I don't know how we're going to tackle all of them, but we're going to try. It's somewhere buried in this twisted mess of questions that I have here. There was one asking us about the most calories that we had ever used in growing, in bodybuilding, and the least amount of calories. Now, to kind of qualify that too, what was your heaviest weight, Ron and Dusty both? Like, how heavy did you guys get at your biggest?
Right. So my heaviest scale weight ever was 333 in the morning. Yeah, I was in the morning, naked, standing on my scale.
That's a picture. That's a picture for you guys.
Yeah. That was the heaviest I ever weighed. I have a photo of the scale at Hardcore Gym. I went to do my morning cardio, and I remember I took my shoes off, which I never do. I was like, I'm going to take my shoes off because I was just starting my prep. Yeah, it was day one of my prep. So I took my shoes off. And also, I remember this. I don't normally make morning cardio a rule, right? It's not something I enforce. I'm not a huge proponent. But I just went that week, my schedule was going to be so that I was going to train twice a day. So I was like, I'll go do some morning cardio, Anyways, long story short, I took my shoes off. Hadn't eaten anything, and it was 330.3. So that's the highest photo I have.
Okay.
Of the scale. Oof. So I have proof. But yeah, I was eating. Shit! Someone banged outside my house. Here, you guys talk for a second.
How's that even possible? He's on the 12th floor or something.
Like the 26th floor.
Yeah, how is that possible? Somebody can bang outside of your house unless they're maybe cleaning the windows or something like that.
Yeah, it's got to be.
How about you, Dusty?
So first off, I have to say 333 pounds is out of control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I can't, I mean, this is terrible, but I can't even remember my heaviest exactly. I want to say it was like 312, 313. And that was ridiculously uncomfortable. I can't even imagine. Like, if somebody would have offered me like a large chunk of change to put on 10 more pounds, I don't think I'd have been down.
You'd be like, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, it was terrible. So yeah, that was my heaviest. But my fattest was actually 260 the first time I did it. Because I was just young and I was like, all right, it was the polar opposite of young bodybuilders now, where they're like, well, they got to worry about the gram. I'm like, I got to worry about that scale.
Yeah.
And that number's going to get high. And I remember I got it up to 260, and I don't know if like all the mirrors in my world left or what happened, how I did not know I was so fat. But I remember hitting 210 dieting and knowing I was nowhere near ready.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I've lost 50 pounds of fat and I'm still fat. Shit.
I laugh at how you put that, Dusty.
Yeah.
You said your heaviest was your fattest was the first time you hit 260.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I relate to that. My fattest was the first time I hit 300.
Okay.
Yeah, you just like Burger King right to the nuts.
So that's how mine happened, though. I had a guy from the gym. I told this guy I wanted to get huge. He was a bodybuilder in town. So he wrote me up a diet. And one of the things that was in the diet every day was he had me going to Jack in the Box, just because it coincidentally was in the parking lot, and getting chicken fajita pitas, double chicken, couple of those, both with fries and a drink, and then a slice of cheesecake every day.
Ooh, wow.
Well, to a young, dumb Dusty, if that's good, then adding a few meals of McDonald's on top of it every day would be even better. So, yeah, that was that. Now to the question, the highest calories. This is the part that I don't blow people's mind on, because I grow really well without eating a ton of food. Like, I bet you my peak calories was like low 5,000s. Like, it's not asinine. Like, I hear guys' numbers. I mean, I have clients of mine that eat more than I ever ate, and they're like 210 pounds. I feel bad when I send their diet. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to do this, but you got to eat more. Who's this?
This is Maddie. She needs a haircut right now, but she just came in to visit me. This is Victoria's
We
dog.
got to have dog guests. I love it. I love that she rolled in.
But she speaks English.
She's Canadian.
Yeah, she's Canadian. She speaks English.
She speaks English.
She's my adopted daughter. You can tell.
She's not French.
Yeah, we both have the beard. Yeah.
She's got better. She got more full growth than you do. No,
she
no
does.
offense.
She's doing pretty good with it. Yeah.
That's great.
See, when I'm talking to you guys, my words just come out. I forget that we're actually doing this.
I know.
So what about you, Ron, for your numbers? Like, I know we don't track numbers, but give or take.
It's funny. The most I ever ate was 2009, the year I worked with Chad Nichols.
Yeah.
I saw that diet, by the way.
Did you?
Credit goes to Chad for just, making me eat a lot of food. And I definitely got to 333. It's the heaviest I ever weighed. I was definitely had fat on me and lots of water. Because I remember the first 10 days of my diet, I went from 330 to 311.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So, I dropped almost 20 pounds in 10 days. So it's just all the, just reducing carbs, and just my waist probably shrunk 2 inches in the first 10 days of my diet.
Right.
Just so full of food. And, and also too, I was using insulin 2 days a week. I was actually using it on my rest days. That's how we had it set up.
Yeah.
So, the rest days were the days that I would actually eat more, because I wasn't training. So you had an extra little window of time. You could stuff in more food.
That's amazing.
Well, you don't train today, so you should be able to eat more, because you don't have to worry about working out and being, feeling good. You can just feel terrible all day.
All day.
Yeah.
You don't need a window of mobility and performance. You know, like, that was like literally how that whole off season was. People, you know, I saw someone doing a story the other day about like, it's hard to work with a coach who hasn't, you know, been through the rigors of whatever division you're in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, or at least understands it. And that's the thing about like trying to get really, really big. It's like, that's the thing people don't get. It's like that type of mindset. Like, oh, you're not training today? Oh, okay. Well, you can like eat an extra cup of rice and a piece of pie with meal 3. And then you can just feel like garbage for the 2 hours you would normally be in the gym. And then, you know, just that sort of thing. So just ramming in extra food. I don't know what the calories would have been, Dusty. The meals were like, you know, 12 ounces of steak with 2 cups of rice, 2.5 cups of rice, you know, and then a burger and fries every single day. And, you know, giant breakfast with like, you know, 8 ounces of steak with 4 eggs with, you know, 2 large pancakes and a cup and a half of oatmeal, like just these massive meals. So
I remember because you remember we were in at the Arnold when you pulled that up for me and showed me the diet.
Oh, yeah, because I found it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking at, and I just remembered thinking to myself, I don't know that I could have gotten this down regularly. It's one thing like, okay, today eat that. But I mean, every meal was slammed. And I want to say there were 6 or 7 meals. So there was no time to like stretch them out a little bit.
2 big blender shakes every day for 2 of the meals, which really helped because I was like, I've always kind of liked shakes, you know?
Right.
So there were 2 big, like, you know, kind of kitchen sink carb with like 3 scoops of isolate, that type of thing.
Yeah.
There was 2 of those giant, like they were easily 1,000 calories each. So yeah, there was a lot of that sort of thing going on.
That's wild.
The homemade weight gain shake.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. Now we can't leave out the lowest because I actually find that part to be more fun. The lowest amount of calories you've ever eaten. And I don't know the number because that's the one thing that's disappointing for everybody watching, but we would raise and lower food and I didn't keep track of calories ever.
Yeah.
But when I did the Emerald Cup and I worked with JJ Marsh, there was a stretch where my first meal of the day was egg whites with nothing.
Okay.
My next 5 meals were 7 ounces of whitefish with, I want to say 100 grams of greens, which I said green beans. And then I had an 8-ounce serving of salmon with nothing before bed. So that was my count. That was my day. And that went on. I remember because he was smart. He stretched me, right? It was one of those like, hey, I want you to do this for a couple days, you know? So I would do it for a couple days and then he'd look at me and I'm like, you know, it was, you know, when you used to deplete before a show, like on purpose, way too low.
Yeah.
So I went in and saw him and he was like, you think you could do one more day? And I'm like, I could do one more day. So I do another day and I come back and he asks again, can you do another day? And I said, yeah. So after the 6th day, low like this, and I mean, I was sliced out of my head. He goes, all right, tomorrow we're going to start carving up. And I said, well, Jay, I got to ask, what were you looking for when you kept doing one more day?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I knew we were doing 6 the whole time. I just didn't want to ask you up front.
I
was like,
yeah.
Oh, he goes, it might have been a lot for your brain after 2 to know you had 4 more left.
Yeah.
So I just asked you for one more each time. And I'm like, that actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it really does.
I remember like it was brutal because you'd finish a meal and like consider trying to like dig into the plate a little bit to eat some of the plastic, you know, like, so I
shows
enjoyed that.
That shows that's back when Dusty was broke because he just said plastic.
Yeah.
Plastic.
Oh yeah. It was probably round too because they were cheaper.
I know I went like 2,000 calories. I remember like figuring out how low my calories once, and they were like right at 2,000, like even maybe sub 2,000 a little bit. And it was like you said, it was like egg whites and chicken and egg whites and chicken, and you know that was it. Like 0 carbs, no fat added, just some veggies, you know, like that sort of thing. So I remember doing that for like several days at a time just to try to force fat off the body, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just do it. I mean, lots of times, you know, Chris would say, I remember Chris was real big on, we'd do no carbs at all on the rest day if we had to. Like, you know, for like 4 weeks out, and you're like, let's really push. So like, when's your next rest day? And I'd say, oh, it's Thursday and Sunday or whatever. He'd say, okay, let's do no carbs on rest days, not a single gram. And I'm like, okay. So I just eat protein. And, you know, I usually have one protein meal a day that would have some kind of fat in it, like steak. But then the rest of the day would be like chicken breast or turkey breast with egg whites, like, you know, real tight. Yeah. So, yeah, did that lots. You know?
I like that. Yeah. I went up pretty high, Dusty, like you were talking about. You're like, you have clients that you've had to push higher. They might not even be huge guys. And part of it was because of my real active job that I had for a few years. And I've seen this since then. I work with a guy who climbs up telephone poles. He works with like electric stuff. Yeah, but he also has to go into like sewer, like drainage things, and he's like underground for 5 hours at a time. Yeah, like just working on different lines and stuff. And he's got to eat so much that he has a cheat meal in literally every day right now, plus a ton of food, plus Pop-Tarts, you know, and it's like, and if he misses any of that, it's like, oh, the scale went down 3 pounds or 5 pounds. You know what I mean? And that's the way I was with this job. And I said, screw it. Yeah, I was like, screw it. I'm just going to do, you know, whatever I can. And I just started hammering food, including then having shakes with maltodextrin between my meals, you know, on top. So it'd be like solid food meal of like 2 cups of rice and minimal green veggie because I didn't have the room for it. And then like 10 ounces of beef. And then an hour later, 50 grams of protein with 50 grams of maltodextrin. And then an hour later, solid food meal. And that's when I was eating McDonald's once a day. And I think I was doing like 2 cans of pineapple too, because it had the sugar in it. And I was like, this will be good. You know, I had like 1 can of pineapple with my food, pre-workout, 1 can post-workout. You know, you should have seen my shopping cart at the time, but it was like over 8,000 calories for a while. Ooh. And I know that had I not had to do such physical labor, it would have been a different story for me. But yeah. And then I've taken it all the way to that other end too, where I enjoyed the low calories. Like I was a guy that I always liked to pull back, and I could always diet a lot harder. It was easier for me than eating a lot. I think it was just like I was raised to not eat a lot of food, you know. I'd prefer to be hungry than to be overly full. I don't know. What about you guys? Would you prefer to be hungry or would you prefer to be stuffed?
Hungry. I had a funny moment the other day. You know, I don't eat like I used to, you know, obviously. And we went out for dinner and I was starving, like, you know, like I'm really, really hungry. And I hadn't eaten for hours and I ate a lot. Went to the restaurant. I had like a full, you know, appetizer all to myself, big entree with like extra fries. And then I was like, you know what? I'm having dessert. Like I never ordered dessert at restaurants. I'm just not a restaurant dessert guy. Order the pie, have the pie, come back. I'm laying on the couch feeling like 4 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Which was, and not good, you know, like not feeling really great. Like I need to lay for a minute, like, and just give me a few minutes, you know, that type of feeling. And I remember thinking, oh God, I hate this. I hate this feeling. It's been so long since I ate to where I was like, kind of felt like, I just got to lay down. Like, I just don't do that anymore. And then I was like thinking, I'm like, I used to do this every day.
Yeah.
You were uncomfortable for months at a time,
you know, and I don't mind being hungry now. Like when I'm hungry, I sort of feel like, well, cause I'm also trying to reprogram myself. So technically people who are in a calorie deficit tend to be healthier. Like, being in a deficit is great for your blood work, keeps your body fat in check. You know, there's all these studies now that are showing like calorie deficits are good for longevity. You know, people that live the majority of their life in a bit of a deficit tend to have like all these markers that are better. And, you know, look at the obesity epidemic. That's technically people living in a surplus at all times, right?
Yeah.
So there's all this science that shows that a deficit's good for you. Like, so whenever I'm hungry, I just think, oh, this is my health move now that I'm older. Just gonna be hungry a little more often.
There you go.
You know?
I like that. So, like I said, we had a bunch of questions, but I had something I wanted to get your opinions on. It was something I saw that came up in the news, so I actually got the video, okay? And I want you guys to check this out. The full thing's like 4 minutes. We don't have to watch the whole thing. You're welcome to comment while this is on. But this is a new thing. This is happening in our lifetimes. We're going to see this in the stores. The U.S. has approved cell-cultivated chicken.
So cultivated meat, put really simply, is real meat that is grown from animal cells. So if you imagine the meat that we have loved and eaten for tens of thousands of years, the meat that we cultivate is actually biologically the same, but it's made in a whole new way.
Upside Foods and Good Meat has been racing to gain approval to be the first to sell meat that doesn't come from slaughterhouses.
Ultimately, the cells do what they do. They like to double, they like to grow, and then ultimately they become meat. So after 7 to 14 days, or a little longer, depending on what we're making, we harvest the cells, and then we can make it into any meat product that you love. So it could be a chicken fillet, it could be a hamburger, a hot dog, it could be pretty much anything that you can think of.
Getting USDA approval now opens up the pathway for us to sell cultivated meat here in the biggest market in the world, in a place that's one of the biggest meat producers in the world, and I think lends a lot of credibility towards what this is going to be in the future. So it'll be a momentous, historic moment for the food industry.
So they're coming out with literally like test tube meat, and they've been approved in the U.S. to sell this stuff.
It's awesome. I think it's absolutely awesome. We're going to be able to feed people without having to, and not just from a humane perspective, kill animals, which I eat meat and I'm just not a fan of the industrial process. We don't have to do that. We're not going to have to do that anymore, which means we're not going to have to feed the animals, which means we're not going to have to deal with any of that. Like, it's going to streamline feeding people and getting food. I think it should just be incredible.
I saw a thing
awesome.
It takes like 2 years to raise a cow to be able to take it to slaughter, and you have to think about all the food that goes into that.
The water and the land and the everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and then also too, like if you want to look at the fossil fuel side of it, think of all the fossil fuels it takes to run a cattle farm. You know, so it's just interesting. It's interesting. Obviously, there's downsides, like certain industries will suffer, but then new industries will arise. And I mean, this is just the process of societal development. But having food that doesn't require us to grow technically like an animal, that's just amazing to me. Like, I'm all over it. And I'm all over the science. It's bioidentical. It's like we have stem cells now. That technology is part of this. This is all part of the same. That's all that same technology, turn a cell into whatever you want it to be, that whole thing. I guess. Oh, you want a chicken fillet? Okay.
There's two things
I guess, what I mean?
that they're concerned with. One of them, which they didn't talk about here, is emissions. That we might get rid of these other emissions, but now we're creating these new ones. And I guess at the time, at least, it's cost prohibitive. It's cost prohibitive. Like right now, they can't do it.
Yeah.
But I bet that like in our lifetimes, the people watching this, the people younger than us, maybe that'll be like what the thing is. What about vegetarians?
Oh yeah.
That'd be
the scalability.
Isn't like vegetarianism isn't a big part of that? Like a lot of people don't want to harm animals. Like I wonder, will they begin eating meat?
I think a great deal of that, especially the veganism, is more animal centered than it's not actually about. Like I think there's about the meat. A lot of this. Yeah, unless there's some sort of like level, like certain levels of vegan won't wear leather shoes, right? So I guess it'd be maybe a super dedicated vegan that was like, no other life, no technical, I don't know. There'd be like some justification for it still being meat. I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe we can hear from some vegan listeners on what the vegan community would think of this stuff.
What do you think, Dusty?
I mean, I think as long as it's real, mean, the only thing that freaks me out is if anything will be less. But I mean, if literally the quality of what you're getting is the same,
Yeah.
and as long as it still cooks on my grill exactly the same, because I've got that down and I don't want to mess it up. You know, I don't want to mess it up my grill times.
Yeah.
Well, from what I've read so far, obviously it doesn't taste the same texture wise, the stuff they've made, because
problematic.
Yeah, so the flavor is actually the same when you cook it, but it's not the same texture. So like you're not going to so you're not going to get a steak yet, because a steak tastes the way it does because that animal has moved around and it has exercised. You know, like wild game is leaner because it's running constantly, and you know, you can fatten up a cow. You know, you can feed a cow like Kobe beef. They feed it beer and grain and trying to get it real fat, you know, so the beef is marbled. So there's all that stuff and all the fibers in the muscle tissue. So apparently they don't have that down yet. But if you're doing something like hamburger patties where they just grind it up anyways, then you get a much more, so far, this is what I'm reading, is you get a much more realistic product, because that's what you do anyways. You grind it up and make a patty. But if you're looking for like a chicken breast with the same strands in it, apparently that's not quite how it is yet. They're just, it's chicken muscle tissue and it's white meat and stuff, but it's not quite the same.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that would throw me off. But then again, I mean,
you'll
maybe
get it.
It's better.
Throw lots of seasoning salt on it. Ketchup.
The next thing you know,
stir it into the rice.
Turn it into diet food. Throw enough crap on it and then pretend it's still healthy.
Yeah.
Who are we kidding? We're just mashing shit into rice anyways.
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
bodybuilders are doing.
Really
I like my
rice.
fillet to have a certain, you know, you're just going like this with a fork. In a Tupperware dish. You're eating out of a Tupperware dish.
True.
All right. So like I said, we did have a bunch of listener questions. You guys want me to just start running through them with you here?
Knock them out.
Let's do the Patreons. The Patreons, right?
All right. Well, I had one pulled up to start with just because I didn't want to lose it, okay? And I'll get to the Patreon after this. So this one is...
Because my name isn't Ron the producer.
No.
You're the star.
Anything.
You're the guy in the middle.
300.
You're the guy in the middle.
Just rep 300.
I don't know how that... I don't know how that happened. Go ahead.
So check this out. Check this out. For the first time in months, we have an overrated, underrated. Not only that, we have several of them, and Dusty might even have more. So first overrated, underrated in a while, Jay Cutler focusing just on his bodybuilding career.
So this one's tricky because I feel like Chris Palmer doesn't know Jay. Because Jay focused on because Jay took his winnings from his first Arnold and bought real estate immediately.
Yep.
Like he was never just focusing on bodybuilding. When he was making DVDs before anybody else, that was to build other businesses. So tricky. You know what I'm saying? Jay didn't need like a job, but there was a lot of other focus there. So anything Jay did is underrated at the end.
Yeah. Jay's the king of business and bodybuilding. He was looking back at what he was doing, it's like, it's a no-brainer shit.
Yep.
Like pumping out those DVDs like he was, and doing the Swole Monkey t-shirts, selling them out of his garage. Like he had a lot of hustle. He's a guy competing at Jay's level with a, you know, already got a Mr. Olympia trophy, a couple Arnolds, you know, a bunch of Arnolds. And he's, you know, selling t-shirts out of his garage, mailing them all over the planet. And he could have scaled that up. He told me when he's like, I could have got a warehouse, like, but he knew that like that's another, you know, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month in expenses. So he just ran it out of his garage and just banked and just invested everything.
Nice.
He told me, I can't remember the amount he told me once he sold out of his garage one month, but I was like, I said, how much did you do out of your garage on the clothing? And he's like, my best month was blah, blah, blah. And I can't remember what he said, so I don't want to say it, but I just remember being like, oh God, he had one employee.
That's
well, remember too, he was always, so I thought one thing that was really cool was Jay was ahead of the time on noticing that people paid attention to things. So like when the videos came out, Jay always liked cutting up his meat with scissors. And then the kids were like, oh, scissors, that's so smart. And Jay was like, oh, I will make Jay Cutler scissors and sell them. Now, I don't know that what they did or whatever, but the point is he was like, oh, I could probably make $1 from that. I'll do it. So he used bodybuilding to build businesses. So it was far from only focusing on bodybuilding. He maximized his name and brand that came from bodybuilding. That's the difference. And I say this with respect, but that's the difference between Jay and Ronnie and Jay and Flex and Jay and all these people. Like, Jay still comes to events because he wants to. Jay doesn't have to leave his house ever again. He's a multi-millionaire. Like, he doesn't have to. So I think people don't realize that, and the amount of money he makes outside of bodybuilding all started from that.
I think a lot of people really respect Jay, and a lot of people really get that. I think you guys would agree. And so with that said, I think we would all agree that that's accurately rated. Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Accurately rated.
You're twisting. As much as you respect Jay, it's still underrated.
Final thought on that. I just Googled. Apparently, according to Google, Jay Cutler's net worth is around $30 million.
Oh, God. What other bodybuilder? Right. You know what I mean?
None. Arnold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Arnold. All right. So how about this one? I know, Ron, you've done a couple photo shoots in your day. You guys have both done a bunch of photo shoots. This is from Patreon. Josh says, I'm curious if any of the guys have done a photo shoot and how to prepare for those compared to a show. Also, did you do the shoot in full posing trunks or like some gasp shorts? And how effing comfortable is it to do a shoot, especially when it's a female shooting you? I just competed this past weekend, but got an offer to do a shoot in July, which is 3 to 4 weeks post-show, and was curious how you guys approached your shoots. Thanks, guys. Awesome content as always.
Oh, there's so much about this question I could talk about, Dusty.
Notice I said
I'll try
quietly.
to keep it really short. I always hated and loathed photo shoots.
Really?
They were agonizing. I always hated. I understood the process, I understood, you're getting shots for product and it's all like really important. But I hated pretending to work out, and they're just really boring. There's a lot of sitting around waiting. So it's like you're trying to keep your pump, and then it's just like. It seems pointless, and then they need a shot. Now they're not a lot of fun. I was never a big fan of photo shoots. That just wasn't anything that was like on the list of like, oh my god. And I got offered a lot of shoots that I was like, no thanks.
Really?
Like I don't care. Why do I want to take pictures? Why do I want you to take pictures of me? I don't care.
Did you tell him that?
No, but that's what my thought most of the time. I'm like, what? Like back in the day, like in the 90s and 2000s, be photographers would be like, hey, can I shoot you at this gym the day after the nationals? I'd be like, nah, I'm okay. I'm flying home at 9. I'm out of there. Like I just did not give a shit about that stuff. And then when I started working with Mutant, that was different because like it was at the national level, and the shoot was like really well organized and stuff like that. Still a lot of waiting around. It's a long day. And I had a couple of good shoots with like Jason Breeze and, had fun with Alex Ardenti on a couple of shoots, but that was different because it was all for Mutant, and Mutant was like taking care of us. It was all, but this like photographer, like offering to shoot you, like, what are the photos for? Like, why do they want to take pictures of you? I was always super skeptical of people, right?
Yeah. So
some photographer would be like, hey, I really want to shoot. I'd be like, nah, go away. I just didn't care.
You were just in a spank bank. Anyways, can we say that?
So, but I mean, obviously, I had some fun times. My summary was that they were never an interest to me, but I did get lucky and have a few great shoots that yielded some cool stuff. But for the most part, I never shot in trunks. I shot in gasp shorts like once, but most of the time it was just gym tank tops and stuff. And those are way more comfortable shoots to do, like where you're just wearing a tank top and shit.
Yeah,
like modeling clothing is different. Like that's different. But like gym shoots where you're trying to look great. And I never loved how I peaked for a gym shoot because I always thought I was a little flat because I always tried to get a little too hard for the shoot, Anyways, go ahead, Dust.
So to me, it was easy. The first thing is a lot of the questions he asked are the photographer questions. You got to ask her. You know, what does she want you to wear? Because the majority of my shoots were done for companies that were paying. So there was someone there that put clothes on me. They're like, all right, put these pants on, put this thing on. Okay. I mean, so everything. And the nice thing was in those situations, everything's storyboarded. So I would look at the board before we started and be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that one. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
They did knock off the board, stuff like that. So ask ahead, make sure you know what you're getting into so that you don't show up and it's some weird thing that you're not into. Being that you've never done it before, it'll probably be fun. Just be prepared that it's going to be a lot more work than you think. I used to leave photo shoots smoked.
Yeah.
Because like Ron said, there's two options. Either you are sitting around waiting all day and you're just kind of hungry and going back and forth. It's just a long ass day, or they work you. Like I had a couple really fun shoots where like I shot with Per Bernal one time and he got hired to just give him real gym shoots. And I was like, hey, Per, can I just train? And he's like, yeah. And then I'll take pictures of you. But it was funny because you'd be going and Per would be watching this with his camera in his hand, not looking at you.
Yeah.
And then once you started to like grimace, then he'd start shooting and he'd yell out 5 more. And you're like,
Oh shit.
how? Like, you know, but those were great images. So the more painful the shoot, the more fun they were. But yeah, like when I shot with like Tony Mandrich that we had on before, it was all planned out. And I mean, for the most part, the biggest factor was, like Ron said, they're setting up the light and then getting over there and just getting the right angle. But I don't think people realize that like to get a cool, you know, curl, you do freaking 15 sets of 5 to get it just right. And then they're like, got it, you know. But the images are awesome. I think it's worth doing once. But the biggest thing I would say is, number one, check with her. Make sure you know what's going on. I don't think it's weird at all. I've paraded around gyms half naked for 15 years. It doesn't mean anything to me because most of the gyms are open when you're shooting.
Yeah.
I don't think of it at all. And then the biggest secret is bring candy.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to want candy. Oh, yeah. You need something. It's a long day. Like if you don't bring like some Snickers and stuff, the shoot will literally get worse because your face will start to show you're tired and the pictures will suck. So, yeah, snacks are key, and you can't like eat food because you're worried about your midsection.
Yeah.
I just called them a bad word. But yeah, that's it.
I got to go shoot video with Drea this past weekend.
Yes.
For Mutant.
She said it was terrible.
I saw that.
Yeah.
She was like, it was dreadful. This guy followed me around.
Yeah. She didn't ask me to. She didn't ask me to. I just showed up with the camera and started following her.
And I'm looking forward to seeing the video. And the reason I'm looking forward to seeing the video is because I know she's going to be training in it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sort of glad that, like, for the most part, the old school photo shoot has kind of gone extinct. That whole like pretend to train thing is kind of gone extinct. Like we've replaced it with real training footage. And like, it's changed. Like the old days of like, you know, I'm glad I missed a lot of the cheesy photo shoot stuff. I never took part in any of that stuff.
I got a question on that. And I want to tell you some other stuff about Drea too, but did you guys ever use like the fake plates? Do the fake plate photo shoots?
Yes, I saw fake plates and fake dumbbells.
Okay. Did you curl up a 5-pounder that looks huge and you're like, ah?
No, but I'll tell you the story. If Alex Ardenti has a couple of Ivanko 45s that only weigh about 7 pounds each.
Okay.
And he has a set of 85-pound dumbbells that only weigh 35 pounds. And they look like nice new Ivankos. Yeah. And they get used a lot. They got used a lot in those early Rich Piana shoots where Rich is like doing the side laterals and curling the 85s. Those are actually 35s.
No kidding.
And but they look great in shots. Yeah. And they've been used at Gold's Venice in a million shoots. They matched the dumbbells there for a long time. And I remember Rich was doing a video about squatting, high rep squatting. So he had 2 plates aside on, and this is before he hurt his knee, so he could squat 2 plates for like, sets of 20. But Ardenti put the additional 45 on, so it looked like 3 plates, and they shot the video like that. But people don't get, like, I remember being like weirded out about the fake weights because I was like a Dorian guy.
Yeah.
Right. And I show up at this shoot and there's these fake weights and I'm like, oh, I don't really want to be a guy that uses fake weights. Like, that's not my thing. And then I saw how Alex was shooting Rich, and they weren't shooting a workout. They're making a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, oh, Alex is making a movie. He's a movie maker. He's not shooting Rich training. This is a fucking movie. So Rich did like a bunch of sets with that. And he had to talk and say the same thing every time. And he was trying to get it perfect and then get under the bar and start squatting. And I'm like, oh, they're like shooting a scene. Like, you couldn't use real weights. You would just be like, you wouldn't get the shot, like the shot he wanted. So it sort of opened my mind up a lot more. And I was like, I get it. Like, there's levels to this.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys. So
are we done?
Well, I'm going to tell you guys.
Pause right now.
I was waiting for Dusty to see if Dusty had anything else to say. So while we were, Dusty or Drea saw that video that I put up of the home gym. And we had talked about this before. But then after she saw that especially, she was like, hey, she's like, because I'm helping her with this stuff. She delivers content to Mutant every month. And it can be really anything. So, we're coming up with ideas of different things to shoot. And it'd be fun to do some stuff that wasn't just bodybuilding, like hanging out, meeting her friends, people that are outside of bodybuilding. What do they think about her? I don't know. Just different stuff that would be not just training beyond that. Anyway, but one of the things she wants to do, and we're going to do this coming up here in the next week or so, is she's coming out here to do a video training in my home gym.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so cool, isn't it? Imagine having freaking an Olympian training in your own home gym. Like, that is mind-blowing to me. You know what I'm saying?
You should start a cool Olympia winner's signature wall with just her.
Yeah.
And then when other pros come to your house, you're like, no, you don't have an Olympia.
You didn't win an Olympia. Yeah, yeah.
Also cannot use the leg press. Nope.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on here. This is another one from Patreon for It's Just Bodybuilding. Let's see. It says, It's Just Bodybuilding. We are 6 months into the year and 6 months to go. You hear it repeated on social media, and I'm curious. What have you, Scott, Ron, and Dusty, managed to do in the first 6 months of 2023? And what do you hope to achieve for the remainder? I'm back to the December episodes, and great hearing your conversations leading into this year. Dang. So we were talking about like what we were going to do in 2023, and now it's half over.
Have we done any of it?
What did we say?
I don't remember what I was spouting off about.
The lies and deceit. I don't know what we had put, but here's what my year tells you is whatever your plan is, it's got to be able to be flexible with what life throws at you. So I've had a lot of not great things happen this year, but they've all fed into like really good stuff. So I've, it's been very successful. And the biggest thing I would say that I've done this year now is I have spent much more time with reaching out to people and spending time with people I give a about. You know what I mean? So there's more of I probably sent 6 texts over 41 years that just said, "Hey man, how you doing?" With no just that was the only question I had for the day. There's been quite a few of those since then, which I think is cool. And just over this last weekend, reached out to a friend who had kind of I could see that life had caught up. Very, very successful person doing a lot of stuff. But I was like, man, I think this person probably misses training. So I just sent a text and was like, hey, so I need you to get your ass back in the gym. So I was thinking we'd start Monday. And literally, we've been off to the races, and it turned out to be one of those things where they're like, man, I'm so glad that you reached out. I don't know why I haven't clicked. You know what I mean? So I would say that's the most successful thing I've done this year, is just paying more attention to your friends and things like that. Because when your friends are doing well in life, only their closest friends can tell the things that are a little bit off. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, as good as you're doing, I see something missing, so I'm going to ask about it. So that would be my big hurrah for the first 6 months, which was definitely not in the December episodes of what I was planning on considering success.
Yeah, that's really interesting, man.
It's going to be tough to beat, Ron.
Yeah, that's, I just had really loser goals, like try to make more money.
Yeah.
And,
well, we're doing that too, so good.
Dusty's over here changing the world and helping people live a better life. Yeah. Oh my God, I learned a song on guitar the other day.
My Guitar Hero game is through the roof.
That's good. I'm proud of you, son.
Yeah, that's pretty much all my goal was.
And I did this thing with my feet.
Did a bike
Next
trick.
question. Next question. Oh, that's terrible.
Okay.
You got to have something for us, though, Ron. What are you?
Oh,
proud
I thought
of?
you were sarcastically asking me to add.
I mean, that was good. No, that was
now
great
we actually do
That was
need you
great
to add.
content, but yeah, something good. Something that you're proud of.
Well, I had like a real like sort of thing that I said to myself. I was like, I really want my, obviously, we all do our best with everyone, but I really tried to like say to myself, like, my clients are all going to kick ass this year.
Yeah,
they're all going to kick ass. It's going to kick ass. Like, I remember saying that. Like, I remember, Braden said, "Oh, what's your goal with this one dude that I helped?" He's like, this one guy. He's like, "What's your goal with him?" And I'm like, smoke everybody. Like, I just remember thinking like that. Like, I'm I like that, and it seems to be like serving me well. It's like it's a good mentality. So I'm really happy with how all that stuff's going. And I know I said I was going to buy a property, which I have not done yet, but I did get pre-approved for a mortgage, like to get something. I got some financing pre-approved, and I have things set up. So
nice.
It's not like I'm just sitting back going, "Oh, I'm going to buy something." I actually did some went to the bank, got some stuff lined up, that sort of thing. So I am looking at doing something, but interest rates are crazy right now, and I'm just sort of like, are we going to see a little bit of a bubble pop so I can get in there a little better? Like that sort of thing. Either that, or I'm going to come to Detroit and buy one of those commercial real estate buildings you showed me.
Right.
All of them. All of them.
Damn. Buy like a whole city block.
You really could, man. You could,
man.
Yeah, and there's a couple
is that city
spots
going to turn
right
it
now.
around? Like, what if Detroit's like bustling and changing, and like the next 10 years those properties all triple in price?
Well, here's the thing,
Like, what do you
man, is
think?
to really have gotten in, it would have been like, because I mean, it's funny because, and this kind of relates to my thing, is how time flies. You turn around and time flies. But I remember 20 years ago being in downtown Detroit and them talking about how it's going to turn around. And now, like, I look at the Grand Central train station, huge building. And for years, it was like a place where like urban explorers would go into. You could see straight through the building because all the windows were all blowing out. And I think Ford bought it. It was either Ford or GM. And they're like completely redoing this monument in the city. And so like all the properties around that, which it's like a hellhole right now, but but it's turning around, and you see like all these properties around it now, they've already been bought. So really to get in on it in the right spots, it would have been like 20 years ago to buy them back then. Right. And like, what's crazy too is like there's areas where you would think you were in the country, but you're in downtown because they've just leveled all the houses, and it'll be like one house and then fields and then another house and then fields, and then you come to a stop sign and it's just all fields, but you're in the middle of the city and there it's all happening. So yeah, you kind of missed it, but you could still get in. There's still places to buy for sure.
Well, it
really
makes me wonder if certain
estate,
areas
though.
get so
It just keeps going up.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm just thinking, are a bunch of like people that are totally priced out going to move there, and then it's going to bustle the place. You know what I mean?
Probably. Yeah.
You know,
So-
Well, that's
what's the most expensive place?
Like Ron, when I came here and I'm looking at the price of houses, I could not believe how cheap they were. Just to have locals tell me how expensive everything has gotten,
Okay.
Right.
and I was like,
Right.
"What? No." Like, you know, because
You're not from
it's all
Scottsdale.
based on what's around. But the thing is they, like you were saying with Detroit here, more and more businesses are coming here. Like BMW is 3 miles from where I live, like their main spot here. So they have a ton of people moving here. So obviously you've got decent amounts of money in this, like, in my opinion, podunk town. So it's kind of interesting to watch as it changes. You know, it's not that small, but in comparison, you know, when you're thinking about Detroit and Vancouver and Scottsdale, like, you know, I would love to explain to someone from Vancouver that the real estate is expensive in Greenville.
Yeah.
So they could laugh at me.
Right?
They're like, do you know what this bathroom costed me? $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to add, so I feel like time flies, and it's easy to have 6 months go by and be like, shit, what have I really done in that time? But I have tried to make a concerted effort every single day to recognize like how lucky I am to A, be alive, and B, get to live the life that I live. So, because I could sit here in front of my computer, hang out with you guys, and then literally spend the entire rest of the day just on my computer, because there's always more work you can do. But I'm making an effort to like step back and to be able to still do the things I want to do, because it's like I'm lucky and I should take advantage of it. And if I don't, time's going to go by anyway. So if this is like the last 6 months that I live, I want it to be lived the way I want to live it. You know what I mean?
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
How about this one? Jim McDonald. He's got one for you, Ron. And Dusty. He says, question for everyone but Scott. I heard Lee Haney say calves are a stubborn muscle that needs to be worked every day. Do you agree? I've started doing it myself, as it seems to be pretty low risk experiment.
I love why he excluded you.
Yeah.
Because you have no opinion. No one cares what calf man wants to say. Thoughts, Ron?
I wish I could go back and train calves differently from the get-go. Like I said, I think I was too dogmatic in my approach with certain things, and that would be one thing that I would change. And one of those things would be like just, being a little more open-minded to just doing like certain things with certain body parts. Like I know Klaus, from Denmark. I mean, his legs are amazing. His whole physique's amazing. But he told me that he put an entire inch on his calves one year, and he trained them like 6 days a week the whole year. And he's like, I'm not BSing you. They grew more than I've ever grown. I trained them 6 days a week. He said he did like 3 hard sets every day on a standing calf raise, and then seated, and then standing, and then seated, and then standing, and then seated. He just alternated. And I've had a lot of people tell me like some wacky stuff they've done and that their calves grew. And I'm like, my calves really finally kind of filled out when I trained them like 2 or 3 times a week, really hard, 3 times a week, like really hard. And I'm wondering if, a few sets every day might have worked for me too. Like, I don't know. They seem to be like, they can take a pounding. They seem to be just able to do that. I think Achilles tendonitis is like your limiting factor. If you're going to train them every day, you don't want to get tendonitis.
I feel like the truth of the calf is that everyone calls them a stubborn muscle, and then they just don't train them at all. Like if you pay attention to the amount of people in your gym who actually train calves, it's very low. I mean, even people that say, "Oh, my calves won't grow," I'm like, "Oh, cool. How hard have you? Like, what have you done to make them grow?" And at best case scenario, it's somebody who's done one thing one way the whole time. I'm like you said, Ron, like, well, if that didn't work over a 12 month period, it's not going to work over an 18-month period. So try something else. But I don't think there's anything wrong with going a approach like that. Because sometimes I feel like some muscles you can ask to grow and some muscles you have to force to grow.
I'm done with that.
What's next?
That's interesting.
All right, got another one here. This is from Danny on Patreon, and he put a lot of thought into this. He says, a question for Ron, but I want to hear from Dusty too. Tournament-style face-off, the following gym equipment brands. So he's got brackets here. Now, the first bracket is Cybex versus Hammer, Atlantis versus Panada. And then from there, which one? So which first? Cybex versus Hammer.
This is great.
Oh, God, that's a really brutal one because Cybex makes the better leg equipment.
Yeah.
And hack squat.
And Hammer.
Smith squat.
Yeah, Cybex makes a lot of superior pieces. They make things that Hammer doesn't really do, right? So then Hammer is like all of my favorite, like, plus Hammer is the most durable equipment brand ever made. It's the most durable, best crafted brand ever. Least amount of maintenance. If I had to fill my gym, if I had to fill like a home gym with stuff and I didn't want to ever have to fix anything ever, I would pick Hammer.
Right. True.
If I own no tools,
I
would pick Hammer.
Oh, that seemed pointed. Rude.
All right. So sounds like Hammer.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But I guess if we're gym equipment, we need leg press, we need a hack squat. I'm sorry, I maybe you have to pick Cybex just because of the line.
Wow. Okay. Atlantis
but like,
versus
just
Panada.
think, Atlantis, 100%.
Atlantis.
Not a question. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
not even a comparison. Atlantis is upper shelf.
Now Atlantis versus Cybex.
Atlantis.
Okay.
Overall, at the end of the day, so and again, if I'm filling a garage gym, I might go Cybex because the footprint's better.
Oh, okay. So second bracket is Icarian versus Body Masters. I like Body Masters, but I like Icarian better, I think.
Yeah, I think I'll just say
Icarian.
I would say Icarian except for the leg press. I like the Body Masters leg press better.
And
Flex beats Magnum.
Flex versus Magnum. Flex. I like the Magnum chest press, the incline, the converging chest press. And then, so Flex versus Icarian would be...
Well, Icarian, Flex doesn't make... Oh, yeah, I guess. Damn. That's a tough one.
Ron, you have to think out verbally because no one knows why you just said damn. I do.
I'm going to say Flex.
Listening.
I'm going to say Flex on that one. I'm just going to say Flex. That's a tough one, though.
Okay.
So Flex versus Atlantis for the final champion.
Oh, I guess Atlantis wins this.
Dang. I could have called that. That's where I would have put my money.
Yeah, Atlantis wins this one. And that's tough. That's a tough one. When you see like a fight bracket and the number one seed that's like the best actually gets put out in the first round.
Yeah.
Right.
Like remember the days.
I love Cybex. You put them out quick right there.
Yeah.
Well, the Hammer,
right?
I'm thinking of Hammer.
But I understood why.
Right.
Yeah, I totally understood why. But like when I'm thinking about a home gym, I'm like, well, I need a Cybex Smith machine for sure.
Yeah.
Must have it. I want the old school Cybex leg press.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
In the hat.
Yep. You start running, especially if I can go back in time and pick the old stuff.
Yeah.
That makes it hard, but you're right.
I basically want my training partner's gym.
Yeah.
Because that's what he has.
I want your training partner's gym. I disdain him for having that amazing gym at his house.
Yeah.
We got a good one for Dusty here. This is from Toby. He says, all right. Hoped he could squeeze this one in. We got you, Toby. Trap bar deadlifts versus barbell deadlifts. Risk versus reward. What are you losing from using the trap bar? I have a really bad low back and I can't risk conventional deads.
Well, for you, it's not even a question then. See, I don't know. This is one of those tricky things. When deadlifting is done correctly, it's not dangerous. I know that sounds funny, but it's like where people make a mistake is they get out of form.
Yeah.
So I lean people, if you're doing a movement, I'm working with a guy right now who we're actually, his injury is gone, but his brain is not. The fear of injuring again is an issue for deadlifts, rows, things like that. So we are just now starting, and the goal is to get comfortable with those movements again but in a higher rep range. So the moment you think your form might be going, you just put it down. Versus if you're doing like, say, a 3-rep dead, the moment you think your form might be going is the moment you're injured.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You need to know before you do that next pull, like, all right, everything feels good. But for someone with an injury, my answer is don't even worry about what you're losing. You're losing nothing because you should not deadlift. You know, it's Ron and I say this all the time on the show. Any movement that either hurts or can cause an injury, throw it away and never think about it again. There's never a good reason to look back at that lift. You know? And I don't know, to be honest with you, I never got into trap bar because when you've learned on a traditional, it's more comfortable. It's weird to me to sit with my bars, my hands next to me instead of in front of me. I can't lean into my heels. I don't feel the power out of my legs. I feel like I would squat it up, and I'm trying to use my back, even though obviously the legs are involved. So I can't even say that one that's truly superior. I kind of feel like the deadlift, when people are like, oh, you got to use a regular deadlift versus a hex bar or something. Those are the same people that say if you don't free bar squat, you can't get big legs. They're wrong.
All right. Anything you wanted to add to that
Agreed.
one, Ron? All right.
No, I'm agreed.
All right.
I'm not a huge deadlift guy anyway, so Dusty's the man for that.
I have a final one. It's kind of funny, too. What songs or bands would you guys like to see banned from posing routines? I went to watch Provincials in 2013, and it was an endless loop of 2 Imagine Dragons songs.
She's so good. Oh, so I'm going to not answer during my answer, and then Ron can fix my mistakes. But every show, there's a song that came out within the last 3 months that every single person is going to use. So, you know, back 15 years ago, Lose Yourself should have been banned.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was the one. You're like sometimes it would be back to back. A guy would go on, he'd use it, and then the next guy would go on, and they would use it. And I'm like, oh, man, not good. Yeah. You're just like, here we go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the reason is because it was perfect for bodybuilding. You know what I mean? Like the words, you're like, oh, yeah. You know, so that's my vote. But I can't. What I will say is one song that should be banned for sure is Dirty Diana. Because do not do it after Kai did it. Leave that alone.
There's that.
Whatever you do won't be good enough. And then Sean Ray has some of his like, you know, his ballad songs. I'm like, oh yeah, Sean did that. Don't touch that. Because when he would pose to those songs, they were too good.
On that note, and this doesn't answer the question, but on that note, I also feel like the Sergio victory pose should not be hit by 99% of the people who hit it.
For sure.
Yes,
you got to have the arms for it. And when you're just starting out and you want to do classic physique and you choose that, and you're like 20 pounds under your cap, and you choose that as your favorite classic pose, understand that I'm going to try to suggest we do something else.
Yeah, please don't.
Not
please
every
don't.
pose is for you.
Yeah, that's true.
Most aren't for me.
You got to have like the best. You got to like the only other person is like Lee Priest. You know what I mean? Who could do that pose?
Yeah. Well, and Sergio pulls it off.
The only other, yeah.
The only other,
he's allowed.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think he's allowed. I can't really remember what it is.
Yeah,
you know what another one is? This one isn't one that shouldn't be used, but I know you'll understand this, Ron, and maybe you, Scott. Every time I hear Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name, I see Kevin Levroni's routine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Immediately.
Right, yeah.
So I'm not saying you can't have it, but I do think of him. I mean, literally, like every time it comes in the car, I'm like, oh, there's Kevin up on stage with the
big
flat hair.
He had the shaved head, didn't he? At that
was
point?
No. That was the hair was pushed down, like real greased down to his head.
Okay,
for that one.
Yeah. Was that the '99 British Grand Prix?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that was?
Yes.
Yeah,
when he walks out, and there's a part where he's shaking out the triceps like they're quads.
Yeah, they're just like
they're just like swinging in and out.
Oh yeah,
It's like a sack of
triceps
rocks.
can billow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man. So is there any that you could think of that we should just ban altogether? I've completely derailed this question. I'm sorry.
No,
We're the best show
I remember
of not answering questions, by the way.
Well,
We
I've
just
lived
talk
through
about
several.
a subject.
I've lived through several generations
Yeah.
of the song that gets used all the time. You know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
fuck, AC/DC Thunderstruck got used
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
in the
Back in
90s.
Black as well.
Yeah, Back in Black
yeah.
got used a lot. You know, Eminem, Dusty nailed that one. There's Linkin Park. There's been a few shows where I went
that's a
and
good
it'd be
one.
like 5 people in the same show would use Linkin Park.
Yeah.
You know, and you'd be like, oh, the big hit. There we go. You know, stuff like that. So there's all sorts of, and yeah, Mariah Carey, Hero. We should retire that one.
Good point.
Sean nailed that one.
point.
It's over with.
I'm glad you knew which one I was talking about. All right, good. Okay.
Right.
Oh no, I knew.
That's all we got for this one, then, Ron. If we were going to
Okay.
do another episode, we should cut it here and move
I'm
forward.
fine with that.
All right.
We can do that. Let's
That
make
was
the people
successful.
wait for the. Yeah, was that all right? We do all right.
I think we did a
They
great
should
job
tell
of
us.
not answering anyone's questions.
They should
It was
tell
great.
us.
I
if
have
we did
to.
all right.
I have to let the audience know that I was working my mute button the entire episode because I got a window cleaner out here.
That's what it is.
Dog
okay.
is like losing his mind whenever the window cleaner kind of scoots over to my window here.
Yeah.
And he can just hear it. It's not even a seeing thing. He's like, "Rrr." So I've
It's
been
'cause there's
running the
never-
mute button.
any human beings outside of that window, and now there is.
No,
you know
it's
what I'm saying?
really weird.
It's a problem.
So
I back
So
him
there was
on
certain-
that reaction.
Me too.
there were certain sections where I purposely didn't say anything for a while because I couldn't unmute my mic. And then when I did get a chance to talk, I was like, blah, 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 blah. So there you
Get
go.
it out and then hit mute.
I got to tell you, I think he
Okay.
did awesome because I didn't even realize it.
Me either. That's good.
Like, at no point was I like looking at Ron going, "Are you going to say anything?" Jeez.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. I didn't miss any clips. So he's exhausted now, though, so he's passed out next to my foot. So, okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
Ring the bell.
smoke your wicked weed and tell him Dusty sent you. Go to Think Big Bodybuilding Media Patreon and keep a producer homed.
Thank you, guys.
And keep the shows rolling, and it really does help out a lot. And of course, Mutant, IamMutant.com. Go to IamMutant.com, order some Mutant ISO Surge, order some all-in pre-workout, give it a try. And remember, everybody should get on the gear. And it's IamMutant.com, Dusty20, Big Ron20. Use the code, save the money, let them know that you're watching this show. Okay, thanks, guys. Remember, everybody, it's just bodybuilding.